you just got to keep going. You just got to keep going. A relentless attitude. I remember asking Halbert, what is the secret to success? And he used to say, and this is exactly a like word for word quote because it got burnt into my mind. And what he said was, he kind of paused and looked up and he was like, the pig ignorant refusal to ever give up.
Hey, I'm Joe Fier, and welcome to the Hustle and Flow Chart podcast. This is where we talk all about building businesses so they give you the freedom and fuel for your life. I'm not here to help you build $1 billion business, but I am here to help you create a business with systems that work for you so you can make more money than you need just by working part-time. You know, I was a chronic hustle mode kind of guy, and I want to share my experiences and mentors I've met along the way to help you reframe things to be the most effective as an entrepreneur. I wish I had this guidance and insight when I was younger, so that's what I'm doing here for you. Please share and enjoy. Hey, today I am very excited to share this conversation I had with Caleb O'Dowd, and this guy is incredible. His background of 19 plus years in business, from a carpenter originally now to an entrepreneur, he's generated over $160 million in sales for the companies he's owned and operated. He has a book coming out, which he'll tell you about later on. But the big thing here is he's got this timeless wisdom where he's studied from some of the legends in direct response and names like Gary Halbert that you may or may not have heard about, but he'll tell you about them. And some of these reframes that Caleb has had over the years and how relentlessness and his personality has created this to happen. So we dive into a lot of tactics and a lot of principles and reframes about what makes a great entrepreneur. He dives deep into the 3 top qualities into that. And then we ultimately get into how to craft the perfect offer for you and your business. And it's probably not the process you thought it would be. And there's a goal that he talks about that it'll just give you a great exercise to reframe and relook at what you're doing and how you're presenting your offers. This is powerful, folks. So I'm going to go down the rabbit hole and do that exercise right after I stop recording this. But I want to share this with you now, and make sure to go check Caleb out over at multichannelmarketing.com. It's got some great stuff, tons of free value. You can dive into it if you really enjoy this conversation. I'm sure you will. So let's get into it right now. Caleb, we are here, and man, it's been years since we first chatted, and I'm stoked to finally have you on the podcast for the first time. How you doing, my man?
Thank you very much. Yeah, I'm honored to be here. Thank you so much for having me, Joe.
Of course, yeah. And I think it's our mutual buddy, Rich Sheffrin, originally connected us years back. And
that's right, yeah.
You've been publishing amazing people in all sorts of topics and just different niches for years, and you've been crushing it. Like interesting background I would love to get into, and how you got into entrepreneurship and what makes you, brought out your superpowers. And then we'll dive into it's a topic that's close to everyone's heart, should be, is creating a killer offer that is like the core piece of, or at least maybe the starting piece of a business, because there's obviously a lot more to it. I'd like to show like how you're expansive. You're everywhere, I feel like, in all the different niches, and can serve those listening, maybe not in internet marketing per se.
Yeah, well, we certainly specialize, primarily these days in, the business niches, the internet marketing niches. But yeah, gosh, we've come through a roller coaster ride of various different niches. We were in pretty much every major health niche. We had a health supplement company for a very long time. We're in the spirituality niche. We've sold everything from newsletters to gadgets to physical products of every type. Been at this game for 19 years. It's kind of shocking.
It's wild, man.
Kind of shocking for me to, think I still feel I'm still a young guy, but as I think back on the ability to say I've been doing this professionally for 19 years, it seems like, oh my God, I'm not as young as I actually think I am anymore. But yeah, we've done everything. We've been offline. We've been doing direct mail in a large volume before that business kind of died out. We got into newspaper advertising, did massive volume in newspaper advertising. We then got into radio and magazines, and then we got on the internet and started doing just pretty much every major business model at scale on the internet across just a wide variety of different niches, ranging from health to spirituality to business, as I said, internet marketing, gosh, a whole slew of various different things. We were in mental health there for a while. We had a great guru that we published in the mental health niche. Yeah, just
Yeah.
lots of niches and various business models and various channels over the last 19 years. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the key thing is multi-channel. I know is your big thing, and obviously your website, but you have a book coming out. We'll get to all that stuff and how it's integrated, of course. But you've learned a lot throughout the years, the 19 years, and you've been busy, man. Because I know you've studied from some of the best, Gary Halbert. And but before all that, yeah, kick me into the story. Take us into your world and what got you to become an entrepreneur.
Yeah, it was a strange thing. I mean, I'm very proud to say I'm a high school dropout. I left high school halfway through high school. It's called secondary in Ireland, secondary school. And I was 16, just turned 16 and left high school and became a carpenter for 4 years, never went to college. And my older brother was the opposite of me. I was like the high school dropout of the family. My older brother was like the most successful, awesome guy. He worked in a very high ranking, he was a senior director for Dell Computers.
Mm.
And when I was about 19, 20, my brother decided, hey, listen, I'm leaving Dell and you and I are getting into business together. And I got all these skills, you got none. So, you need to go and like get a skill. So we decided we were going to get into direct response. We wanted to get into a direct response marketing business for a variety of different reasons. And John gave me the newsletters of this guy called Gary Halbert. And I read his newsletters and I was floored. I couldn't believe that there was a guy that was this entertaining, this crazy guy that had like made fortunes, lost fortunes. He was in jail. He had, owned the most expensive house in Hollywood at the time. And he was just this business wizard. And John said, hey, you know what? You must like go and make that guy like your mentor. He's going to teach you marketing and advertising, and you take care of marketing and advertising, and I'll run the business because I got all these business skills. So I just like literally called this guy up. He had a phone number, and I was just relentless, man. I called him every single day, sent him letters. I told him I needed him to mentor me. He was like, "You're out of your mind." Hung up the
Who
phone.
are you? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Who are you? Just like weirdo from Ireland. And man, I just read a book from Napoleon Hill that talked about this guy that worked for Thomas Edison.
Mm.
And he had like sent a letter to Thomas Edison. And he was like, hey, I'm so impressed. Like, I want to come and work for you. And Edison wrote back, thank you very much. I'm very complimented. I don't have a job or whatever. This guy just like relentlessly sent him letters every single day. Edison stopped responding. This guy jumped on a train, gave up his life, traveled all the way across America, and like turned up at Edison's door. And Edison was like, you are out of your mind. Like, you're going to, okay, I'll give you a job. You're going to have like the lowest, job in the company. And then like a couple of years later, he was business partners with Edison and they were making millions of dollars. And I was like, oh, I don't have the skills. I don't have any knowledge. I don't have anything, but I can probably torment another human being so much that they snap and like give me an opportunity.
So that's what it was.
That's what I did. I set my eyes on Halbert and tormented him. I like called him every day, multiple times a day, sent him emails, sent him handwritten letters. And this went on for weeks. And he like was snapping, he was like, F off, don't ever call me again. Just kept going and going and going until eventually he was like, you're out of your mind. I'm going to give you 3 weeks of my time. It's going to cost $19,000 and take it or leave it. Hung up the phone. I didn't have 19 euros in my pocket. Called my brother. I was like, hey, he wants 19 grand. And my brother went and got the money. He actually, he had moved home, purchased this enormous house and, built a life in Ireland at the time. And, so he was like, okay, look, I'm going to go remortgage the house and I'm going to get you the money there.
Wow.
So gave me the money. I went to Halbert and 3 weeks turned into 3 years. And during that 3-year period, Halbert got us into business, got us into direct mail, started a health supplement business that became an enormous business for us. We were spending anywhere from about $500 to $1 million a month on direct mail advertising. So that was ad spend going into the mail. Yeah. And then, as I said, from there, we went on into newspaper advertising. We would spend about maybe 250 grand a month on half page newspaper ads and full page newspaper ads. And we became like the largest direct response newspaper advertisers for several years running in America. We were carpet bombing the whole country every week with, hundreds of newspaper ads that were running in like small, medium, and large circulation newspapers all throughout the country. Wow. And yeah, and then we got on the internet and, we just went on to do really, really great things online, and I think it was all because of what we learned from Halbert. He was a genius at everything he did, but he gave us old world marketing knowledge, like kind of real battle hardened, like old school lineage type concepts and principles and tactics. And he used to say that, if the beginner always wants the tips and the secrets and the hacks and the shortcuts, and he's like, but they don't really get you anywhere, like it's, by the time the beginner gets to hear about that stuff, they're already ineffective. And then the intermediate marketer, that person wants tactics and strategies, which are very powerful and worth learning, but there's a time limit on them. The guys that were doing SEO like 10 years ago, like the game has changed. You know what I mean? The tactics 10 years ago are not really the same tactics today. What he would say is you got to really learn the core fundamental concepts and principles, because those things are timeless. And if you master the concepts and the principles, you'll be able to apply them anywhere you go, online, offline, this channel, that channel, this business model, that business model, whether you're, creating a direct mail sales letter, a radio ad, webinar, a video sales letter. If you are a master of the concepts and principles, then you'll be able to kind of apply them anywhere. And he was right. It was a unique education that we got from such an extraordinary guy that really kind of set us up for life from that point forward.
It's incredible. I love the story, man, and thanks for taking us back there. And because there is no one better, and he's a legend in the marketing space and the sales space. Yeah. Just I don't even know what space you call it. He's like a foundational for business. Man. So relentless. There's a couple things that I'm picking out from what you said there, but being relentless is the key, I would say, because that was the spark, right? Like I'm sure he probably saw that in you too. He's like, shit, this guy, he won't give up. Like he's obviously going to make it in business if he doesn't quit. And you're zeroed in. It wasn't like you're doing this with like 500 people. There's no way you could, and so he probably saw your focus too.
Yeah. A lot of people really kind of think that it's like who you know and what you know and things like that. And in a lot of ways it is, but more so than anything, I think it's who you are. It's like, you could take two guys, teach them the same methodology for, succeeding in business. One guy's going to bomb, the other guy's going to succeed. And if they both start out with the same level of knowledge and experience, what makes the difference is that one person has attitudes, beliefs, habits, perspectives on things that are really going to empower that person to move forward and succeed. And the other one does not. The other person is riddled with a lot of these things. I call them saboteurs. Saboteurs are all of the common ones: shiny object syndrome, procrastination, lack of
overthinking,
lack of willingness to commit. Yeah, like all of these things. So I think that like the real main criteria for success really is not what you know or who you know, even though that stuff is important. It's more about who you are as a person, and I don't think enough people really take the time to understand what it is and what it means to be an entrepreneur, because that's a very well-defined character. And, if you understand like what that person is, then by emulating that person, emulating those characteristics, emulating those beliefs and those habits, then you're going to progress way faster in business than if you're just focused on the systems and the business models and the tactics and the strategies and, all of that kind of good stuff. Because at the end of the day, it's really more about who you are and what you bring to the table as an individual in terms of your personality, your characteristics, your beliefs, your habits. That stuff is really massive.
Man, I love it. It's kind of a breath of fresh air, because it's like we can ignore all the tactics, the strategies, because like we're going back to Halbert, it's timeless, right? Like what you learn from him can be applied now in the AI digital world, but there's still offline stuff, of course. What are some of the maybe the top three, if you could think about that, these characteristics that make a great entrepreneur in your eyes? Because you've obviously learned from Halbert. You kind of willed entrepreneurship in your life, and you've also published a shit ton of people,
Yeah.
that you're obviously cherry picking. So what are like the top three that come to mind for you?
I think certainly being relentless is massive, like being relentless, like understanding that, like you just got to keep going. You just got to keep going. A relentless attitude. I remember asking Halbert, what is the secret to success? And he used to say, and this is exactly a like word for word quote because it got burnt into my mind. And what he said was he kind of paused and looked up and he was like, the pig ignorant refusal to ever give up. And that to me was like, it even makes me tingle even to like think about it again, because I was a high school dropout. So, I was definitely not the sharpest tool in the box. So I was constantly looking for ways that I could have an edge over everybody else that like went to college and all that kind of good stuff. And like, had this like superior kind of educational background to me. And I used to latch on to those types of things because having a relentless attitude, the pig ignorant refusal to ever give up, that goes beyond like, you don't need education, you don't need knowledge, you don't need experience, you don't need a high IQ for that stuff. You just need to do it. You just need to adopt that. You just need to say, hey, that's me and I'm going after it. And like some of the savviest guys that I know, some of the most successful guys that I know got there via process of elimination. They just literally failed their way to success. They literally just tried so many different things. And as a result, they just eliminated all of the possible reasons why, they would not succeed, leaving the only available option left on the table to be successful. And I know so many guys like that, so many like people that you look at and you're like, that guy's elite. He's an elite level entrepreneur. She's an elite level entrepreneur, not understanding that these people, have just taken a relentless attitude to like success. And I even love the word relentless. I often just whisper it under my breath all the time. I even love how it feels to say it. I love writing it down. I love just like relentless. It's just such a powerful, loaded word. And I think that that's kind of at the core of every entrepreneur. It's this kind of fundamental building block of success. Every entrepreneur must have a relentless attitude to success. I think secondly, thoroughly understanding what failure is. You can't succeed without failure.
Right.
Halbert, kind of gave me, and this is my way of calling back what he taught to me, but failure is in fact your mentor and guide. It is your teacher. Like you cannot be successful without it. The road to success is paved with failure. You cannot play football without the ball. You cannot play entrepreneurship without failure. The problem is that most people don't know how to internalize failure. They get burned by it. They view it as a personal defeat. They view it as like, oh my God, like I'm a terrible person, or someone else is a terrible person around me. You know what I mean? It's like they find ways to blame things for and resist failure, when in reality, like failure is your mentor and guide. It's actually a sweet, 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 sweet education. Because as I say, like the people that fail the most, this was another Halbert thing. I asked him, why are you the best of the best? Because he was literally considered the best of the best. And he had this cute little rhyme. And it was, I'm the best of the best because I failed more than the rest. And like
he puts himself out there more. He was doing it more.
Himself out there. The masters fail more times than the beginners even attempt to like succeed. So constantly failing is a very, very good thing. I had a very old cantankerous mentor when I was a carpenter, and like he used to always say, like, you're not going home until you make a mistake today. He valued mistakes massively, because if you're making mistakes, as long as you're learning, if you're making mistakes and you're learning from it, you are skyrocketing, you're booming, your education is exploding, your experience is exploding. And that's really what everybody needs, is experiential knowledge, not necessarily too many books and courses and stuff like that. So I would say definitely number 2 would be internalizing failure and mistakes accurately, so that you are not burned by them, but actually you're empowered by them. And it's not to say that they don't sting and they don't hurt and they're not damaging. It's that like you should wear this stuff like badges of honor. Your failures are your badges of honor. Nothing makes entrepreneurs happier than to sit around the table drinking a few beers talking about all their failures.
That's right.
It's like badge of honor. You know what I mean? It's like you come home from war with a purple heart. Like it's that, You know what I mean? And
That's what it feels like when you describe it. It's war. Like you're going into
yeah,
battle every day. As entrepreneurs, we
yeah,
choose this battle. It's up to
yeah,
us.
yeah, exactly. And like this relentless attitude, number one, internalizing failure and making mistakes, number two, so that that stuff empowers you instead of actually cripples you. And a very unusual number three for me is constantly being a relentless student of your competitors. I
Yeah.
think that, people ask me all the time, hey, like, what kind of books do you read? I never read books. Now, I never read how-to books. And like, I'm the opposite of what everybody says. Oh, you should read like whatever, 10 books a week or something like that. I'm the opposite. I don't even read 10 books a year. I'll read some like entertaining stuff for entertainment purposes. But what I have always found, if you're looking to progress in business, if you take the impact of reading a book and you compare it to the impact of reverse engineering a competitor and seeing what they're doing, the difference in your bank account is probably 10,000 to 1. Like, a book will fill your head with knowledge. If you study a competitor, that will fill your bank account with money. Anytime I study my competitors, anytime I buy their product, I go through their funnel, I see what they're up to, I look at their ads, I look at their landing pages, I, transcribe a webinar or a video sales letter or something, bang, I am making money. That is one of the most valuable, profitable habits that I have developed in my career. Every single week, I am studying, reverse engineering my competitors and applying what it is that they do, because I can directly take tactics, strategies from them. I can customize them, I can make them my own, and I can implement them in my business, and I can make money. I can turn money from that activity in about 72 hours.
Woo, man. I love
So
that.
if I compare reading a book, and I'm not saying don't read books, by the way, I'm just saying that I get like everybody should do whatever they want to do, but characteristics of successful entrepreneurship, top three for me is those, because like Atomic Habits, that's a great book, by the way, that I do recommend. Everybody
Yeah.
should read Atomic Habits. An atomic habit for me is reverse engineering competitors, seeing what they're up to, seeing what they're doing. That puts money in my bank account every single time, guaranteed.
I
And
love
that's
those,
what I'm
man.
looking for as an entrepreneur. More sales, more profits, more scale, more growth, more impact. You get that from studying top competitors.
Ooh, man, yes. And now, I know there's so many tools that can help you even backwards engineer what they're doing and pull out take a webinar, transcribe it. You can use AI. There's tools like
Yeah.
Cast Magic, which I'll just toss
Yeah.
out there, that will pull out the main points. We'll pull out the Q&As and like takes like maybe 2 minutes to do. So it's so snappy these days to do research like that.
Oh, it's fabulous. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you for
Yeah.
those relentless failures and studying reverse engineering competitors. Gold
Yeah.
right there. Thank you.
Good
And
stuff.
I want to, because this all comes into, and I guess tell me a little bit about your business model now. You publish a lot of experts out there. You're doing a lot of webinars, you're multi-channel marketing. Talk about that. And then I want to get into the offers, because that is the core thing, right? Like that drives your business and everybody else's.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, look, for me, what I always find, so like we help a lot of internet business owners these days. Like we help them grow and we help them scale, and among other things that we do as well. But it's always amazing to me just how disconnected like modern marketers have become from old school, like the old school understanding of this business, and how it was literally set in stone. Like the internet came along like 5 minutes ago. Like this business has been around for like over 100 years, like in scale and in volume, and these guys kind of figured it all out. And it's very basic stuff, but like the people have kind of lost the basics. But there's really two aspects to like all business, and internet marketers are so kind of just in one aspect of it. But the whole purpose of business really is to acquire a new customer at break even or a loss upfront, so that you acquire the most amount of customers and then you monetize those customers on the back end. And that's how it's done most profitably, meaning that there's no money on the front end, and all of the money, all of the profit, all of the personal income, all the paying for the kids' college education and the home and the mortgage and the whole lot, it's all made on the back end. But not every, but the vast majority of like internet business owners, they're trying to make everything from the front end. They're
Right.
trying to, not only acquire a customer, but do it at a profit, pay the mortgage, put the kids through school. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like as a result, these guys are constantly struggling, constantly at risk. If they lose an ad account, their entire life is ruined.
One
Um,
channel, right?
yeah, exactly. One channel, all in one itis, it's called. Everything is just like one of everything.
Yeah.
Wretched disease. One funnelitis is another terrible
What
disease.
Dan Kennedy said, it's the most dangerous number in business is one. I
That's
think
right.
is an old quote of his. I think it's
Yeah.
him or Bill Glazer, one of the two. Yeah.
Yeah. It's so true. It's so true. So, like, a lot of what it is that we do is try and like brainwash these guys into like understanding how the business really works. And, we teach them how to acquire customers in the front end using a variety of different funnels. We got a laundry list of stuff, all the usual suspects, VSLs, book funnels, webinars. We do a lot of different kind of things as well. We do a lot of stuff with what we call mini groups. If you're in the coaching consulting space or even in the affiliate marketing space, mini groups, 12-day kind of Facebook groups. So we've got a lot of various different models for acquiring customers and clients on the front end, but really where the magic happens is really in everything that we do to build out what we call like a monetization machine. So we try and like create this back end system that like takes people through this automated journey that really establishes trust with them, gives them lots of value, keeps them, educated and inspired and motivated and glued to us. And along the way, we're really employing smart advertising tactics and strategies using online and offline channels to, sell and promote whatever, products and services are relevant to those audiences on the back end. So we do that, as I said, across a variety of various different business models, webinars, product launches. Not a big fan of product launches as a business model overall, but it's hard to deny that those things are extremely lucrative,
Well,
No
it's like
doubt.
it could be a nice pop to kick off something new, and the intention is that there's some kind of evergreen element to it, ideally.
Yeah, exactly. But like a smart business is really like you're diversified across multiple channels, taking in new leads and converting them into customers in an automated manner across multiple channels. And you're establishing relationships with them, you're upselling them and monetizing them on the back end. Like if you have a business like that where you have like this monetization machine on the back end, it's like 6 months, 12 months long, where there's that much automation in place going out to all of the new customers and prospects that you're acquiring, and everything is automated in that manner. What you've really got is a real business. I always tell people, if you've got an automated monetization machine and it's 12 months long in terms of the actual funnel, and you lose an ad account, you got 12 months of stress-free time to figure that out.
Yeah.
If you're paying your mortgage on the front end sale, you're doomed if you don't fix that in like
And
the
not a lot.
next 7 minutes. You know what I mean? Like you're in so much trouble. And this type of thing, what it does, takes this internet business model and it just turns it into a real business, and it removes all the stress, it gets rid of all the anxiety, it gets rid of all the pressure, it gets rid of all of the crazy deadlines, and it just makes everything smooth. When you have this stuff built and everything is automated and the whole model is kind of established, you've got yourself a real business, and you've got yourself a business then that people can operate a great deal of that business without you. Like most of the complaints that I get from the people that I serve is like, I'm overworked, I'm underpaid, the wife or the husband is given out, I don't have any time to play with the kids or whatever. It's all because there isn't a complete system and play. This business model has been established forever and a day. All of the publishing companies in direct mail were employing this stuff like 60, 70, 80 years ago.
Yeah.
And they had it all figured out. They were all taking in customers. They were taking profit from the back end and using it to acquire customers at significant costs to double, triple, quadruple the quantity of customers that they could acquire on the front end in comparison to all their competitors out there. And then when that, 3, 4, 5x multiple of new customers hits that like 6, 12-month back end, the amount of personal income that comes out of a business like that is absolutely profound.
Yeah.
And very few people understand like just how profitable their business on the internet really could be if they were employing a complete business model instead of a very partially put together business model. It's like a chair with four legs on it, like modern internet marketers, they got a one-legged chair,
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, so a
Got to
lot of
balance it.
that's a lot of what we do, it's customer acquisition, monetization, systematization.
Love it, man. And it's a true business. And I like the fact that it does not have, like, business doesn't have to be full of anxiety, rushing. It's
Yeah.
if you apply it in this way, it's a compounded effort. You're doing the boring work, that
Yeah.
it's not the shiny object stuff. I mean, maybe you're testing something, but it's probably way in the back end or in addition to some solid thing you already have made.
It's interesting you say that
Yeah.
because when I was up rocking and rolling in direct mail all those years ago, these were like my competitors were like I was like 22,
Mm.
I had a much thicker Irish accent than I have today. All of my competitors were like, grizzled old world veteran cigarette smoking, direct mail, hardcore direct response marketers. And there was one guy in particular, and he used to always say, it's boring if you're doing it right. It's
Hmm.
boring if you're making money. And he's like, it's only exciting if everything is not working.
That's
You
true.
know, like if you've got your proverbial stuff together, the business should be boring. Got it all dialed in. Everything is working smoothly. It's when everything is on fire, there's panicking, there's stress, that's when things are not actually working. You haven't
No.
got the business model in place if that's what's going on there.
That's right, man. It's a good check that we can all do for ourselves, like little check
Yeah,
in. Like, am I
yeah,
freaking out? Am I putting out fires right now? What am I
yeah,
ignoring right now in my business that I should
yeah,
refocus on? I want to go to the offer because, and
yeah.
Caleb, maybe you can walk us through someone listening right now. They have a brand new offer in mind that they want to present. Maybe one they even want to rehash, revamp. I don't know if that's the same idea, but walk us through how you would approach that, like at the drawing board with someone right next to you. It could be me if you want. You could pick a topic, something that comes to mind.
Well, I think that, one of the major breakthroughs that I kind of feel like I have made in my career here is really kind of figuring out a conceptual understanding of how to approach creating really, really powerful offer. And I guess it's good to kind of maybe start by talking about like what everybody kind of thinks an offer is versus what an offer really is.
Sure.
Because most marketers have become completely disconnected from what an offer really is. And most think these days that it is about putting a whole bunch of stuff together into some big bonus stack that of like random stuff that adds up to like $29,000 worth of value that they just give away. Then, like you can get all this $29,000 worth of value for whatever, $497, whatever it might be. The whole idea is grab as much stuff as you can possibly get, stick it into the offer, and create this large sum of money that this thing is like, apparently worth.
Yeah, worth.
And yeah, and then give it away at like this super small price. And that's what everybody kind of believes what an offer is. But really, that is just like more so it's a value sale. And a value sale is very important, but it's more so the cherry on top. It's not the main, it's not the main thing.
Yeah.
Like what people are really looking for is a fast, easy way to accomplish what they want to accomplish without hassle and without responsibility.
Interesting.
And there's that famous movie, The Godfather.
Uh-huh.
And The Godfather like makes, in the movie, it's become kind of known in the industry as like this mafia offer. So this
Yeah.
mafia offer is an offer that you can't refuse. So for me personally, thinking about like an offer you can't refuse, by the way, this has made its way across everything I do in business. This is such a profound concept. When most people try to like put together an offer, they try to succeed, and as a result of trying to succeed, they put everything into their offer. Hey, you're going to get my book, and I'm going to give you access to my Facebook group, and you're also going to get this script, and you're going to get this template, and you're going to get this, that, and the other. But in essence, that's not really what it is that people want. Like, people don't really want value. As I said, people want, a fast, easy way to accomplish their goal without, hassle, stress, commitment, and responsibility. So ultimately, what I figured out was that if, instead of coming at your offer from the perspective of trying to succeed and therefore just try cramming in all of this other stuff, the game is hard. The game is not about succeeding. The game is about how to not fail. Because if you add up how many ways there are to succeed and you compare them to how many ways there are to fail, the ways to fail massively outnumber the ways that there are to succeed.
True.
So if you're playing this game correctly, the real game is to forget about trying to succeed, but attempt at all costs to not fail. So what I discovered was, if you come at the perspective, forget about trying to create an offer. If you understand what it is that you have to give people in exchange for their money, but you sit down and you think to yourself, hey, what are all of the reasons why a prospect would say no to this? And you just put together a laundry list. They would say no because of this. They would say no because of that. They would say no because of the other. And you make that list and you make it as complete as you possibly make it. And then one by one, you sit down and you try and create the absolute most perfect and complete rebuttal to that reason why someone would not buy. And if you do that systematically and you make your way through the list and you develop, manifest, create, or strategize ways to overcome each one of those objections, then what you will end up with is an offer that no one can say no to. So if you think then, like my friend and mentor, John Carlton, he used to always say, great advertising is a conversation between two people at the bar. He's like, if you think about it that way, you'll get down deep into the psychology of what's really going on. So we have an offer where we teach people how to acquire clients via Facebook advertising. So if you think about it, what are all the ways that someone would say no? So the person would say, hey, listen, Caleb, this whole thing sounds amazing. The problem is that I don't know how to create any ads. I'm really not good at that. I would love to buy this, but I just know I'm not going to be able to create any ads. So I'm not going to buy this because I can't create any ads. So what would be the most complete, thorough, solution to that? There could be a number of different ways, but the absolute pinnacle of what would overcome that objection is if you were to say, hey, listen, Joe, don't worry about it. I'll create your ads for you. Now there's no rebuttal to that, And then the person says, okay, that sounds awesome, but I got to be honest with you. I don't even know how to create an ad campaign. Hey, no worries. Create your ad campaign for you. Wow, this sounds really good. This sounds fabulous. The only thing is, I've never actually ran an advertising campaign. I don't know how to buy traffic or anything like that. Hey, no worries. How about I buy your traffic for you? And so the conversation goes with, I'm not going to buy because, and the response is, no worries. I'll take care of that for you.
Yeah.
And even if you can't do all of those things, by going through that exercise, what you will end up with is either an offer that people literally cannot say no to, and therefore it'll probably be the number one most powerful and therefore strongest and most compelling and highest converting offer in your niche, or else where you will land is with an offer that is infinitely more powerful and stronger and higher converting than where it is you started to begin with. Secret is to create an offer that no one can say no to, not an offer that people get a lot of value out of. Because let's flip the conversation. Hey, listen, this whole thing sounds great. I really want to buy this, but I don't know how to create ads. Oh, I'm no worries. I'm going to give you access to my Facebook group. And the prospect is yeah, but how does that help me?
Yeah.
And the response is, no worries. I'm going to give you my book, my book.
Find it yourself.
Yeah, exactly. And the prospect is yeah, but that still doesn't address my big problem here.
Yeah.
So if you come at it from this perspective, if you come at it from identifying all of the reasons why someone would say no, and then you systematically attempt to overcome each and every last one of those objections by manifesting or brainstorming the most perfect solutions to each one of those objections, then what you will be left with is an absolute killer offer, perhaps the most powerful offer that exists in the niche right now.
Oof. Man, that exercise right there, I will be doing on some of the stuff I'm working on. But The key thing that stands out for me is taking responsibility away from the prospect. That just seems like what everybody wants, right? I don't want the responsibility.
The absolute highest converting offer is an offer that takes all responsibility off the shoulders of the client. That's the pinnacle. That there's nothing above that. Because a lot of the times people think, hey, I ran this offer. Like, let's say to an email list, hey, I ran this offer, 100 people bought, 9,900 people didn't buy. That means they didn't want the offer. It's not what's happening. There's probably 2,000 people that were like, hey, I really, really want that offer. It's just that there's like this thing, that's like stopping me from like moving forward, and there's many answers to that. But actually, one of those answers is I've bought so many things in the past that I haven't actually taken any action on. I don't believe in myself. I don't trust myself to do this. Yeah. And that's like one of the largest categories. Like even with books, it's like how many people have bought books that they just never read?
Sure, whole shelves full, man. That's the common thing. Yeah,
it's like people collect books they don't read. Like butterflies. This is like a collection. Like so many people just buy like hundreds of books. They never even crack the cover. Yeah. So you got to understand that most people that buy stuff never use stuff, and they know that. So depending on your niche, that's one of the biggest reasons why people are not buying. It's because they don't trust themselves enough.
Yeah, it might not be you. It's them.
Yeah, exactly. They don't trust themselves enough to get the benefit out of whatever it is that you're selling. So when you take all responsibility or as much responsibility off their shoulders as can be, that explodes conversion rates.
Man, I think that's probably the 80-20, I would imagine, of offers right there, right? I mean, obviously there's ways to price and package and deliver. And without this, I mean, you're flying blind, it's not going to be put together.
Yeah, this conceptual approach changed everything for us. And I started to realize, hey, this is not a strategy for offers. This is a strategy for everything. This is a strategy for everything. If you sit down, if you're like launching a new business, like, hey, the game is not to succeed. The game is to avoid failure, because by avoiding by first identifying and then systematically overcoming all of the reasons why you would fail, then that skyrockets your likelihood of success. But when you're trying to succeed, normally you'll come up with some pretty crazy ideas. You'll cut corners. You'll half-ass things because you're just trying to get going. But all that's happening is you're just stepping on 101 like landmines that are going to cause you to fail. Yeah. Whereas if you systematically identify all of the reasons why you could fail and overcome each and every last one of them, then your likelihood of success is astronomically higher. Man. You can take that to media buying. You can take that to offer creation. You can take that to every last facet of every single thing you do in business. Hiring people, everything. If you take that approach, because the game is hard. Anyone who thinks that the game is easy is not living here in reality. The amount of opportunity to failure so massively eclipses the amount of opportunity available to succeed that the game is not about succeeding. The game is about avoiding failure. And by doing this and applying this approach, that avoiding failure is in fact the highest, like the most effective strategy for succeeding. And trying to succeed is one of the least effective ways for succeeding.
And this applies with life, I would imagine, as well, but in the context of business. Yeah. And with this whole thing you mentioned, the game, avoiding failure is going to keep you in the game longer. And that's the whole thing, is if you're in the game longer, you're obviously relentless already.
It's gonna make you, it's gonna skyrocket your skill set, your knowledge, your savvy, your experience. This is a profound concept. It is, in fact, it's the impact of employing this in your business and, as you mentioned, in your life is profound. Because the education, the experience that you get from going through this and applying this elevates your status, elevates your success rate, number one, but elevates your status, your personal income, the size of your company, the market share, the dominating force that you are in your niche. Yeah. Like it's a gargantuan, massive like concept that has very far-reaching implications.
I feel like I could keep diving down all day long with you. Tell us about your book that's coming up, because I think it's your fourth book, correct?
It's
Oh,
not.
it's not.
No, I mean, so I do books. Yes, I've done loads and loads and loads of books, but I've never actually done one that I plan on like putting out there on a big level. I've done books as promotions to email lists and stuff like that, but this is like I'm really shooting for this to be on Amazon and do a lot of big things. So it's not published yet. It's in the oven. I'm expecting it to come out in the next 2 months. And it's called Monetization, the Ultimate Multi-Channel Marketing Funnel. And it's essentially, it encapsulates kind of everything that I do in terms of in terms of acquiring and monetizing customers using multi-channel marketing. And it gets into a lot of great detail in terms of a lot of the concepts and principles that are behind everything that I do. And to me personally, it's everything that is kind of behind what it is that we do. Yeah. And I know at least the content is very powerful. So, I'm looking forward to getting it out there and hearing what people have to say about it. I know that, like, for me personally, for the clients that I work with, the content in this book, the tactics, the strategies, the principles, the concepts have been profound. Yeah. And I'm really kind of excited to hear how people are going to get on with this.
Wow.
So
once it's available, man, I would love to share it with the folks here, because I know this is the tip of the iceberg of what we've been talking about. And where else can folks follow you but dive into stuff? I know you have a really incredible checklist that's on your website. So that's obviously another tip of the iceberg there.
Yeah, multichannelmarketing.com.
Good domain.
Yeah. And who wants to continue to listen to me, and my madness, can go to multichannelmarketing.com and find out more about me there.
Right on, Caleb. Man, I appreciate the reframes, the life lessons, like the wisdom that you have and that you've taken from other mentors, or not taken, but you're continuing on and sharing here. Appreciate your time, brother.
Yeah, appreciate it, man. It's been an honor. Thank you so much for having me.
Very welcome. All right. That's what I got for you today. And remember, it's not all about living to work. It's all about working to live, if you need to do the work. But work can be fun, and it should be fueling for your life. So if you enjoyed what you just heard, if you got some nuggets of wisdom that you want to share, or you're just noodling on right now, please go tell others the way that people find this show, and how you can help others get their aha moments is through word of mouth. So if it is telling your friend, telling your family, sending an email to your list, writing a review, or whatever it might be, everything helps. So thank you so much for listening to the Hustle and Flowchart podcast, and I will see you next time.